Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I'm a 22-year-old competitive bowler from Canada, currently living near Frankfurt, Germany. Welcome back to the COMPCLIMB training series, where I record all of my training, provide in-depth analysis of every session, and just chat about climbing with an emphasis on competition. So in today's episode, we have a very exciting day of training. As you can see at the beginning of the video here, I'm giving like a little tour of the whole like training sort of section of Studio Bloc. I haven't really been up here in all of our time like making these videos here in Germany. I've yet to kind of feature the big training room that Studio Bloc has at the Darmstadt location. And so usually with this day of training in this program cycle that we're doing, we have like 2 spiral sessions. One of them is a boulder session, one of them is a campus. But as you can see, we are not at Boulderveld and we are not on the spray wall. So what I can do with like my spiral sessions and my campus sessions is sometimes, so like with the spray sessions, like for the boulder ones, every now and then I'll sub it out for like a board session, just if I'm feeling it, if I want to mix it up. Maybe I don't have like some boulders that are kind of inspiring me on the spray wall right now or something. I'll like go and like throw in a board session. It's not very often that I'll do this. Normally, like in the past, I've only, like for example, this is like my 3rd session on the KILTER board. I've only usually climbed on like the moon board or the KILTER board with like friends of mine. I find that's like a lot of fun. I think this is, well, I mean, of course, it's the first solo KILTER session I've had just because it's like my 3rd one, but I've only climbed on the moon board on my own, like maybe once or twice. And all my board sessions are like usually with a friend, funnily enough, mostly Ben, my buddy back home in Canada. And so I thought, like, I remember, so I've had one session on this KILTER board actually before at Studio Bloc, and it was with a strong guy who's living in Germany right now. He's from Ukraine. His name is Alex, and we had a session together. And that was like, that was my first KILTER board session, and I remember having a lot of fun. The holds are like super fun and comfy, and I find the wall is actually like my style too, like the sort of like finger power and just dynamic moves that you often find are like really suited to me. So I just found that, like, of course I'm going to have fun when all the boulders kind of suit me. And then I had like a little, like another tiny little KILTER board session when I was visiting Canada a while ago. And I remember having a lot of fun with them. But that being said, I also just really love the spray wall. And so that's why I don't usually kind of come to the KILTER board. I just mostly stick to the spray wall. But I was feeling like I just wanted to mix it up today. So I decided to do a KILTER board session. And I also think that there's like a fun competition happening at Boulderveld on this day too. So that also kind of swayed me a bit. Like if I went to Boulderveld, I was like thinking it might be crowded or something. So anyway, we're here at Studio Bloc for a KILTER board session, 3rd one ever. And I am definitely not like a pro board climber. I was like kind of wondering like, oh, I hope I know like the etiquette well enough. I know like some climbs you're not supposed to match. You're supposed to just, no matching. Like, and I don't know if like heel hooks and toe hooks are like frowned upon or whatnot. I've heard like different things from different people. I was kind of going under the rule that I was going to do none of the boulders. Like I won't match on any of the boulders, which I think I actually realized you can see on the KILTER board. There's like a little description that you can see whether or not you're allowed to match on it. But I just said for the sake of like the etiquette, I was going to allow myself to heel hook and toe hook all I wanted. Just because I don't really know what's up with that. So yeah, I just kind of did whatever. And so as you see, we're having our KILTER board session, and this board here is 60 degrees. So all these boulders we're doing are at 60 degrees. The session that I had on this KILTER board with Alex like a few months ago, I think we were climbing at 50 degrees, and I remember trying some cool boulders. There were a couple that I didn't do that I was thinking that I could revisit. I remembered them from like a few months ago. And so I went to ask the desk staff like how to change the angle. And I guess like back then you could change the angle. I think you like went to the desk and got a key and then they would give it to you. But I think they're like stopping that for now or something. He informed me that it was just at 60 degrees. So I was a little bit bummed. Like I don't necessarily love the super steep climbing. So I was kind of like, oh, 60 degree KILTER board session. I don't know if I'm into that, but I'd already committed to it. So I was going to just give it a try. And it actually turned out to be a lot of fun. I still really enjoyed the boulders. Especially like these holds, like the way they're kind of in cut, they're actually like super fun to grab on 60 degrees. I find that these edges kind of turn into like flat edges, and you can still like do like some. I was also kind of worried that I would just be trying not to dab the whole time at 60 degrees, like because you're kind of lower to the ground, but it actually wasn't so bad. I found that I could do like these sort of powerful moves and like big foot cuts, not really worrying about the dabbing. So I ended up having a really fun KILTER board session. And so we've been kind of going, started off with like a 9 and like a 10 or something. And in my experience, my very, very limited on experience on the KILTER board, I guess I'm kind of like realizing that these grades are a bit soft, I think. I don't know, like definitely, at least compared to the moon board, I've definitely climbed more on the moon board, and the moon board grades definitely seem stiffer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like there's no benchmarks on the KILTER board. I was like trying to filter the boulders like from like by benchmarks, but I couldn't figure it out. I'm not very familiar with the KILTER app. So I don't know if like the grades I'm doing are like sandbagged or soft or what, or I don't know. But you know what? I'd say they actually felt pretty accurate. I think the moon board is sort of known for being like stiff. So maybe these are like a bit closer to the accurate grades, or like maybe there's a middle ground. I don't know. We started with some 9s, 10s. I think, yeah, I did a couple 11s. I flashed a bunch of boulders. I was feeling like not so great on my warm up, but as like I just started climbing on the KILTER board and getting like super into the groove of the session, my fingers definitely started to get warmer and I started to feel a bit better. That being said, I don't know if I didn't get like a whole lot of sleep last night, and I like had to take like a little bit of extra, like I had a triple espresso before this session, so it actually kind of shows like through my climbing. You'll notice that I'm really shaky in this session. Like I was able to like try hard enough, and like I was feeling like strong enough to have a decent session, but I was super shaky and I could feel it while I was climbing, and it's kind of funny that you can actually notice it too. But yeah, anyway, I did like some 9s, 10s, a couple 11s. I flashed a bunch, and then that 111 took me like 3 tries, I think. And so I was feeling pretty good, and I was like, okay, these boulders are fine, but let's try and go harder. Let's look at what a 12 feels like. And so I looked for a 12. I just picked the first one I saw. I don't really know like what like the popular KILTER board boulders are either. Like I didn't know if I was doing like what section of the app I was on, but I just kind of picked the first 12 I saw. Didn't know it was good. This one looked fun, and immediately I noticed like. At first, when I saw this boulder, I thought it was going to be some sort of like 360 campus. Like you hit the Gaston, then you kind of go backwards, but then I realized that wasn't quite the case. It's still a very cool move. You have this like super intense cross, and the wall is like super steep too, so it's like requires so much tension. And in order to do this unwind, you have to almost put your face against your arm to like get as far as you can to shift your weight. This actually ended up being a super epic move, and this is a really well set boulder. Like, this is definitely something I'm realizing on the KILTER board, even just like with this session and like the couple others that I've had, is that you definitely allows for like some seriously like way more creative boulders than are on the moon board at least. So it's a lot of fun. It's not just basic climbing. It's like it's physical, like strength-based climbing, but also with some creative moves as well. And so as you can see, this 12 is much harder than all the other boulders. I think this is definitely more accurate to the grade. And I'm like trying to figure out how to do this middle sequence. I went and sussed, like the first time I went to get that pinch, immediately my wrist felt super unstable in that position. And that's sort of like the wrist position that I've been describing in the past. Like my wrist is kind of like permanently injured. I always have to wear the strap on my wrist to kind of support it and help with the pain management. But like the sort of twisted position with your wrist, and then you have to like squeeze and exert out of that position. That's what always gets me. And that's like almost a move that I just can't do in climbing. And it really holds me back a long time. It's super frustrating. I've had this issue for like close to 3 years now. So I don't know how to fix it either. I've like seen physio and stuff, but sometimes I'll just have to find creative ways to climb around it. And we'll see that later. I have to find like a weird way to do this last move. But here you can see I finally stick this cross for the first time. I was trying to learn the beta, and it was kind of just like you almost had to like flop your body at the last second and sort of like out of this unwind, instead of trying to just like take the hold in one swing. You had to flop and then hit the hold that you're going to. Really cool move. But yeah, as you can see in the past, I was like trying in like my past few tries, I was trying to like break the beta in this middle part and try and go right hand to this like sort of slopey edge so that I could like try and dodge this pinch. But I realized that that was just way too hard, and I wasn't gonna be able to do that. So I decided to try doing what looked like an intended sequence again with this super cool like dead point in the middle here. And then I was just gonna have to try and find a creative way to grab this pinch, like I was saying. Like you see here, I'm coming off and I'm like looking at my hand, and it's just really, my wrist is just hurting too bad. And this is where I really got to be careful, because I've tweaked myself like once or twice in the past where I'm trying to boulder like this, where I'm like, okay, my wrist is kind of hurting. This is a bad position for it. And then I just try too hard on one try and I tweak it, and I feel stupid because I wasn't careful. So I was really trying to be careful. Like I know honestly, I maybe should have just stopped trying this boulder, but I was kind of like in the thick of it, and for first part was cool. I should have not tried the boulder, but I kept trying it. But what I was trying to do is basically how can I use this pinch and weight it as little as possible so that I'm not going to hurt myself. And so here I was like trying. You can see I cut my feet. I was going to try and bring like a right heel, like a heel hand match. But on some later tries, what I realized I can do is actually I just like just try and weight my feet and my legs as much as possible, and almost do this sort of drop knee and take as much weight as I can off of this pinch. And if I can pull myself to the left, so I'm kind of like it's almost more of a side pull, and I'm not pulling out of like a twisted position with my wrist. That is that will take the weight off of that'll take it out of the bad position, and it'll be less like intense. So here you see I'm getting like up to the high point from the ground. I'm twisting, trying to take the weight off my wrist. I'm kind of grabbing it, and then I messed up the finish. That was so close, and I had like 5 minutes left in the session. I had time for only one more try. So here I am with my last try of the day, getting hyped up. I knew I had like the beta down. I'd rehearsed this beginning a lot, and I felt pretty confident I could do it. That being said, it was going to be really hard. So I got super fired up, used all the energy left in the tank, and I managed to descend this boulder. And oh yes, so this actually will remind me of my tip of the day for today. It's another short one, and it's kind of like subtle, but I find this is like a little kind of like a hidden strength of mine as a climber. A very like sort of, subtle thing that I do is here, look at this. So in order to do this cross a bit easier, I'm bicycling the foothold where my left is on. And my tip of the day for today is you can find a lot more bicycles than you think. And I feel like a strength of mine as a climber, also can I just pause and say that this was the most desperate time of my life. And if you'll notice, I like snagged that finish hold with 2 fingers, and I was like trying to just weight this hand as little as possible. And so it ended up being like this weird flop, and I barely snagged the finish. And if you want to reward Zach trying very hard on that boulder, go sauce me a follow or sauce me a subscription. It really helps it a lot. But anyway, like I was saying, a strength of mine, like kind of a hidden strength of mine as a climber, is I find like a lot of hidden bicycles, and bicycles on holds where it really looks like, how is that giving you any sort of purchase on the toe hook? But even just like that, like sort of slopey side of the kilter, like edge, and then when your other toe is on top of it, squeezing it together gives me just a little bit of support, and a little bit creates like a stable position to do that cross. And so, yeah, my tip of the day is just try to find a lot of hidden bicycles in places that you wouldn't normally expect it. And so that wrapped up our first session. I had a really fun time on the kilter board, and I think that I was definitely that was definitely a lot of fun, and I think I'll try to incorporate some more kilter board sessions in the future. I don't think I'll be on the moonboard anytime soon. I kind of just did it that one day when we were at Mannheim because it was convenient, and I didn't want to go all the way to Boulderveld because that would be quite the journey. But kilter board, I could see myself doing this maybe once a week, once every other week. I don't know. We'll see. Well, let me know in the comments actually. Like, is kilter board like something you guys are interested in? Because I'll definitely sure I got a program I want to stick to, but I'll always take recommendations as well. As like if the kilter board is interesting, I'll try to do more of it. It was a lot of fun, and it's sort of like more interactive, almost like you guys can see what these boulders are at your local gym and whatnot. I think that's pretty cool. And so yeah, that kilter board session was at 60 degrees as well. So yeah, we had a campus session also on the program for today. And I was just in a creative mood today. I was feeling like I wanted to mix it up. And so instead of going to Boulderfelt, which we could have done, again, like I said, I was kind of worried that the gym maybe would be busy, and it's a bit of a journey. So I decided to, I was like, is there any way I could do campusing here at Studio Bloc somehow? And then I remembered this wood board. So this is kind of like up the stairs from the kilter board, and I've like trained on this mood board a couple times as well, but I've never actually been on this wood board. And you know what? I'm thinking about it now. I don't think I've ever trained on a wood board, period, in my life. I don't think I've ever had a session on like a woody. So I think this is probably my first like time just training on a wood board. Like sure, I've grabbed like wood holds, like the wooden holds on the moon board and whatnot, but not like a dedicated wood session. So I decided to be like, hey, if I do my campus session here at Studio Bloc, I could just like chillax on their couches in their sort of hangout room and just sit here and not have to like travel all over Germany in order to get from gym to gym. So that's what I did. I said, I'm just going to give this a shot. Like there's a chance maybe this wall just isn't like super great for campusing and the holds are weird or too hard or something. But it actually ended up working out super well. Like I had like a pretty fun little session campusing on this wall. And what I found was the wall is definitely like a bit smaller than like obviously it's shorter than the spiral boulder vault. So the campus boulders that I were making ended up being like kind of shorter and sweeter. And I was cramming like I had to make sure like all the moves were kind of hard in order to get like a good boulder made up, rather than like at boulder vault, or maybe some of the moves are just sort of like filler moves, and then the crux is in like the meat of the boulder. I found that it was like usually every attempt would be like 1 or 2 moves on this wall that I was doing, which ended up being really cool. And this is like the first boulder we're trying here. These pinches at the end were really hard. I couldn't send this boulder. I got it close to getting the finish a couple times. But yeah, I was, and as I was having the session, I was thinking too, like yeah, like I kind of sort of almost preach the idea that you want to make up like sort of movement-based campus boulders, and you can practice like a lot of comp style movements in your campus sessions, especially like go check out the yesterday's episode or like a couple days ago. Our campus session, we were making some pretty epic moves, like flying around through the air. But I also like it's 50-50. It's like, you know, with the climber, it's like, you know, there's just so many things that you got to be good at. It's like half of it is physical, half of it is head game, and then like when with the physical side, you got like half of it is like, you know, coordination and movement based, and the other half is just strength. And so it's like we're doing a lot of the movement based campus, which is really good, and I find it really helps me with like sort of comp style upper body like dynamic elements. But I was really getting inspired during this campus session to be like, you know what, I also got to just do more crimp lines and do more hard pinching and just bop, bop, bop kind of campus boulders. And that's sort of what this whole session was about. And I found that I was like out of practice with this. Here, look at this boulder here. I'm trying with all these like little mini pinches. Like this is me just kind of being weak. Yeah, this boulder's hard, but in regards to like, you know, the men's field and like the international level, I still got like a ways to go in terms of my strength. I'm not like, I'm powerful, but I'm almost like not as strong as a lot of people. And I feel like this boulder would be crushed by like a lot of the like strong national team members and whatnot. And I need to get better at this. I just need to get stronger. It's kind of sounds silly, but I've been inspired to just, might just force myself to have a couple more campus sessions on this board here. Cause I feel like if I just train on this a bit, I can get strong pretty fast, especially with the wood holds. I've never trained on it before, but I found myself making boulders and then they turned out to be way harder than I thought because I didn't account for like the lack of texture. That's something I'm definitely not used to. But yeah, I think that I definitely want to try and make some more like just physical based campus boulders. But we'll still, that being said, of course, I think we're still going to spend most of our time at Boulder Vault doing our like normal campus boulders. But yeah, I was just having a good time on this, Woody. And so yeah, we're moving on to our last campus boulder of the day. Here I'm like kind of sussing out the first move. I'm about to try this crux move here. I was actually trying to make like one movement based boulder. I found that I didn't just want to do like crimp the whole session. And I also found like, especially when you do a session like this with just sort of all the holds are the same and like really small and like really intense on your fingers, especially after doing KILTER board in the morning, is like the fatigue was just compounding so much. Like I found my fingers were just gassing out. Like that second boulder we were trying with like the sort of crimps and like the mini pinches, I had to just stop trying that because my fingers were just too tired. So I tried to make something a bit more open-handed and a bit more movement-based just because that my fingers were getting so tired. And so this boulder here was super cool. It starts off with this like pretty big move up to this pinch that's like kind of slopey, kind of flat. And it's just good enough to like get you to go pull up to this next pinch with the right hand. It's like sort of like a rounded in cut. It's like weird. It's like not quite a jug, but it's not like flat. It's like the sort of rounded, like slopey in cut hold. It's just good enough to do this move. And the left hand is super bad. It's like slopey. It's kind of rounded off the end. You have to like really pinch it. This move was super cool. My first couple tries, I didn't think it was actually going to be possible. You notice as well, I had to like change it to a better hold because I was going to go off this like vertical pinch, which there was no way that was going to happen. But yeah, when I switched it to a better hold, all of a sudden the move, I at first it felt like maybe it's not possible, but then I just like kept trying it more and a bit more, and I was learning the technique. And it was like really, I found that I had to make sure I didn't pull myself too much to the side and kind of do like a roundabout movement, which is kind of the trap a lot of the times when you're doing a move like this. And I found that I had to pull myself sort of straight up more, and that helped. And so I had like 5 minutes left in the session again, and I decided to pull out the same thing that we did in our KILTER board session and just get so fired up and then just bang out like a maximum effort attempt. I was so psyched. I had a really good day of training today, actually. I was trying a lot of like physically hard stuff, and I was getting like super psyched up, and it was good. And all we did today was just physical climbing, and I'm just like I said, I'm like really inspired to get stronger. And I don't want to just be like, you know, powerful and good at like movement. I also just want to be strong. And especially going into next season, we got some big goals. Want to win nationals. I want to climb my way up to #1 in like the Canadian ranking and do well at the North American Cups. So we're in like hard training mode right now. I'm super fired up, super psyched. I haven't felt like this in a while too, which is really good. And like our program is like pretty rigorous lately. It's pretty intense, like so many double sessions, lots of physical training, and it's been fun to grind it out and like record and document it all as usual. Also, I want to just take a second to mention that like our channel has been growing pretty nicely lately, and we're, you know, kind of building like a bigger community, and there's been more comments on the videos, and I just want to take a second to like say thank you for everyone who's like leaving. There's been a lot of nice comments lately, just people like saying how they're enjoying the video series and they really enjoy the kind of content that Maddie and I are going for and putting out there. And it's like it's really nice. Like it really makes my day just to read all these nice messages. And I just want to take a second to say thank you for everyone who's like left a nice comment. It really means a lot. And so that wrapped up a pretty epic day of training. Obviously we were like supposed to go to like Boulderville for both of these sessions and train on the normal spray wall, but I definitely love to mix it up every now and then just to like just keep the training more engaging. And honestly, it's been pretty nice too. Like while I'm filming this video series, it kind of makes me want to think outside the box and go like do things that like kind of just break the routine a bit and spice it up. So it's pretty cool how like the making these videos actually enhances my training. It's really awesome. And so tomorrow we are going to have a boulder session. I'm really looking forward to that. We're at Studio Bloc Darmstadt today, and I was walking around the gym before the session, and I saw some new boulders that look really cool. There's like a cool one on the outdoor wall that I want to try. So tomorrow we'll come back here for a boulder session, and then we'll do a workout too. So tune in.